So think about your absolute favorite story. You know, the one where you've memorized every twist, every triumph, all the heartbreak.
Right, the one you can just quote by heart.
Exactly.
Yeah.
But I want you to imagine, just for a second, that right in the middle of a chapter, the camera pans slightly to the left.
Oh, I love this concept.
Yeah, right. Suddenly, you are capturing everything the main character never even noticed, like the people standing just out of focus. Or those quiet, seemingly insignificant conversations happening in the background.
And those are the things that are secretly altering the course of everything, really.
Yes. What if the most important moments in history didn't actually happen on the battlefield, but, I don't know, in the awkward silence of a library? Or in an unsaid apology?
It completely changes your understanding of the world because, you're realizing that the grand narrative you thought you knew, the one with the loud explosions and the obvious heroes, is really only half the picture. The real mechanics of change, they're happening underneath all of that.
And that is exactly what we are doing in today's deep dive. We are looking at a massive 173,000-word narrative titled New Dawn.
It's a huge undertaking.
It really is.
Yeah.
It's an expansive canon-adjacent timeline of a magical world you are incredibly familiar with. But our mission today isn't to rehash the epic battles or, the headline-grabbing heroics.
Right, we've seen all that before.
Exactly. We are going to explore how history is actually shaped in the quiet spaces between events. We're looking at sudden, jarring shifts in perspective.
It's honestly a masterclass in character psychology. We're examining a universe where the major historical events remain entirely unchanged from the canon you already know.
Right.
But the internal framework, like the why and the how characters react to these events, that shifts entirely.
Right, and to understand how these massive internal shifts happen, I really want to jump straight into a moment where a character's entire worldview just physically breaks down.
Oh, the Yule Ball.
Yes. Because, okay, we know Draco Malfoy is indoctrinated. He's been raised with this very specific, very toxic script about blood purity and, well, who holds value. So what actually breaks that worldview? Because it isn't a duel, right?
No, not at all. It breaks at a school dance. And it's fascinating because we are watching a moment of sheer undeniable cognitive dissonance just play out in real time.
Yep.
Draco is standing in the Great Hall, and he's fully expecting the night to be incredibly predictable. And he finds immense comfort in that predictability, right? Because it validates that script he was handed at birth.
Right. He's expecting Harry to embarrass himself. He's expecting the night to be boring. He's basically just waiting for his preconceived notions to be proven right.
Precisely. But then the champions enter, and walking next to Victor Crumb is a girl in soft periwinkle robes.
It's Hermione.
It is.
Yeah.
And Draco's brain physically cannot process what he is seeing. He literally says her name aloud into the silence, just Granger.
Wait, okay, so he just sees her dressed up, and his entire deeply held, generations-old ideology just crumbles. I have to be honest, that seems a little fast. A pretty dress cures systemic prejudice.
No. The dress doesn't cure the prejudice, and that's a really crucial distinction here.
Okay.
The dress acts as a catalyst for a systemic failure in his logic. He has spent 4 years telling himself and everyone else that Hermione Granger is fundamentally beneath his notice.
Right, that she is less than.
Exactly, but the physical reality standing in front of him, someone elegant commanding the room on the arm of a world-famous athlete, it directly contradicts that foundational belief. It's not that he suddenly respects Muggleborns. It's that his specific narrative about this specific Muggleborn has been proven objectively false in a very public setting.
Oh, that makes so much sense. It's like cognitive rejection.
Yeah.
His brain is trying to run a software update like Muggleborns can be impressive, but his operating system was coded entirely by Lucius Malfoy. So it just throws a fatal error. The whole system crashes.
That is the perfect analogy, and the source text brilliantly shows us the aftermath of this system crash, too. Post-ball, Draco starts acting bizarrely out of character.
Because he has no internal framework to handle this new data.
Exactly. Yeah. The details here are just incredible. Like, in potions, instead of sabotaging her like usual, he quietly tells her to lower the flame on her cauldron before it boils over.
Wow.
And then in the corridor, he awkwardly blurts out that she doesn't deserve to drown in the lake just because Crumb likes her.
Which is such a weird thing to say. But my absolute favorite detail, he is staring at her from across the entrance hall, totally distracted by this new reality, and he literally walks face first into a solid stone pillar.
Yeah.
Just a loud thud.
It's so funny. His friend Theo has to physically steer him around the architecture for days.
That is amazing.
It is. But while it's highly entertaining, the psychology behind it is actually profound. You know, when our deeply ingrained biases collide with undeniable reality, we don't just gracefully change our minds.
Right. We don't just say, ooh, my mistake.
Exactly. We panic. We malfunction. Draco's erratic behavior is just the outward manifestation of his internal world tearing itself apart.
So on the flip side of this, because his behavior makes absolutely zero logical sense to anyone else, we get to watch the most logical person in the school attempt to solve him.
Right, Hermione.
Yeah, Hermione's internal monologue just goes into overdrive.
She treats him like a complex academic problem. She assumes he must have a concussion from the pillar, or maybe someone slipped in polyjuice potion.
Right.
She spends weeks analyzing every weird, awkward interaction, trying to find the hidden manipulation in it all.
Because to her, the idea that Draco Malfoy might have just, I don't know, evolved is completely absurd.
Totally absurd.
But then we get this brilliant scene. She's sitting in the Gryffindor common room, knitting one of those tiny hats for the house elves. And she has this massive revelation.
Yeah, Ron does an impression of Lucius Malfoy, right? Acting out how Lucius would react to Draco being nice to a Muggle-born, and suddenly it just all clicks for her. She realizes she isn't actually observing Draco at all. She is observing an invisible phantom of Lucius Malfoy that she has superimposed over Draco.
Wow.
She treats this like an arithmancy equation. Yeah. In arithmancy, if your base integer is wrong, every subsequent calculation, no matter how perfectly executed your math is, it will result in a flawed answer.
So true.
She realizes Lucius Malfoy was her wrong base integer.
Okay, let me push back on her here, though. I mean, we're talking about unlearning biases, right?
Yeah.
Isn't Hermione just demonstrating textbook confirmation bias herself?
Oh, absolutely.
Like she was trying to force all this erratic data to fit a sinister narrative just because his last name is Malfoy. Isn't she doing the exact same thing to him that he does to her?
That's a really sharp observation, and it's exactly what the source text wants you to grapple with. Yes, Hermione is highly prejudiced here.
Right.
But the difference is the origin of the bias. Draco's bias is systemic and inherited, right? Whereas Hermione's bias is experiential.
Well, because she has been actively bullied by him for years.
Yeah. Exactly. Her bias is a defense mechanism. But you are entirely correct. It is still a bias.
It makes me think about, like, a time you might have judged a new coworker based entirely on the terrible manager who hired them?
Yes.
That's exactly what Hermione is doing here. She expected manipulation and hidden agendas because that's Lucius's playbook.
Yeah.
But Draco's actions, like blurting out a defense and then looking horrified with himself, they're entirely impulsive.
Exactly. Her logic was flawless, but her foundation was rotten. And this is a vital lesson for her, and honestly, for us.
Yeah.
Knowledge and analytical skills are only valuable when your starting premise is sound. If you start an investigation judging the son by the sins of the father, you will never see the frightened, confused 15-year-old boy actually standing in front of you.
You will only ever see the shadow of his father.
Precisely.
But the beautiful thing is, once she dismantles her own cognitive bias, it's like a superpower unlocks for her.
It really does.
She immediately applies this new mental framework to a completely different problem, and she solves the biggest mystery of the year.
Yes, the Rita Skeeter mystery. I mean, we all know Rita was sneaking around as a Beetle. That's established lore.
Right.
What's brilliant in New Dawn isn't the reveal itself, but how Hermione's psychological shift allows her to finally figure it out.
Right, because before this, Hermione is basically pulling her hair out. She's in the library, highlighting tabloid articles, obsessively asking how Rita is sneaking into the castle undetected.
Yeah, she's obsessed.
It's like she's trying to solve a locked room mystery by just staring at the lock.
But having just learned about the danger of a faulty base integer, she stops to examine her own premise. Her premise was, Rita Skeeter is infiltrating the grounds from the outside.
Right.
By discarding that, she changes the question entirely. She stops asking how Rita is breaking in and asks, well, what if Rita was already there? What if she never left?
It's incredible. She stops looking at the loud distraction, which are the articles themselves, and starts looking for the invisible elements.
The things she had previously dismissed as just background noise.
Exactly. And that leads directly to the Hogwarts Express train ride home. Hermione casually pulls out a jam jar from her bag, and inside is a furiously buzzing beetle with very unusual markings around its antenna.
It's such a great reveal.
It is. She doesn't just catch a tabloid reporter, she proves to herself that discarding preconceived notions is the only way to uncover the truth hiding in plain sight.
Yes.
It's a magic trick. Right. You only figure out the illusion when you actively refuse to look where the magician is pointing.
That's a great way to put it.
And if you apply that to your own life, how many problems are you failing to solve right now simply because you're asking the wrong question?
It's a profound shift for her. She realizes you have to look past the obvious and pay attention to the small, seemingly insignificant details. A beetle on a windowsill. A boy awkwardly holding open a library door.
Right. And this ability to see the invisible elements of the world becomes crucial incredibly fast because the story shifts gears dramatically right here.
It really does.
We move out of these childhood mysteries and slam directly into the dark reality of a brewing war.
Yeah, the tone of the source text shifts heavily after the third task. Cedric Diggory is dead. Voldemort is back. The illusion of safety at Hogwarts is entirely shattered.
We get this incredibly poignant scene. The foreign schools have left. Hermione, Harry, and Ron are sitting under a tree by the Black Lake, and they're deeply traumatized.
Very much so.
And Hermione notices a solitary figure wandering aimlessly across the grounds, just like kicking at stones. It's Draco.
And Harry's reaction to seeing him is immediate and visceral. He tells Hermione she shouldn't waste her worry on Malfoy because Harry was in that graveyard. He saw the masked Death Eaters, and he points out with entirely justified fury that Lucius Malfoy was one of them.
Okay, I have to jump in here and play devil's advocate for a second.
Go for it.
I struggle to give Draco a pass in this specific moment just because he's young and confused. I mean, in their world, being a Death Eater is synonymous with being a violent terrorist.
Right.
Harry literally just watched a classmate get murdered by these people.
Yeah.
Isn't Harry's anger 100% justified here?
Right.
Why should Hermione or, the reader extend any empathy to Draco in this moment?
Harry's anger is absolutely justified. It is a completely natural human response to horrific trauma. But this scene isn't about invalidating Harry's trauma.
Okay.
It's exploring the profound difference between holding someone accountable for their own actions versus condemning them for a legacy they didn't even choose.
Oh, wow. Empathy is an endorsement.
Exactly. Empathy is an endorsement. When Hermione looks at Draco wandering alone, she says, I don't think anyone should have their entire future decided for them before they've had the chance to decide it themselves.
That is so powerful.
She isn't excusing his past bullying. She is recognizing the crushing psychological weight of a predetermined destiny. She sees that everyone in the castle is looking at Draco now, just waiting for him to become his father.
And she refuses to force that script onto him.
Right. It's a massive evolution from her earlier faulty premise. She is choosing to see the vulnerable 15-year-old boy kicking stones rather than the terrifying shadow of Lucius Malfoy.
She is allowing him the space to theoretically grow into someone different.
Exactly, even while knowing he might still fail.
That is so heavy. But Hermione realizes the danger of forcing a script onto Draco, which makes the transition into our next segment incredibly ironic.
Oh, definitely.
Because over the summer, she and the rest of the adults do the exact same thing to Harry. They force a script of silence onto him.
Yes, the contrast is brilliant here. We move from the vast, open Hogwarts grounds to the claustrophobic, dusty headquarters of the Order of the Phoenix at number 12, Grimmauld Place.
You're right. And Harry finally arrives there after weeks of isolation. He survived a Dementor attack, he's grieving, and he is just vibrating with rage.
Understandably.
He feels completely abandoned because his best friends haven't written him a single real letter all summer.
And the way the source text describes this silence is vital. It wasn't just a lack of mail. It was a sensory deprivation chamber for his trauma.
Yes. It's like emotional tinnitus. The lack of communication was so absolute, so deafening, that Harry's brain started generating its own ringing paranoia just to fill the void.
Wow. Yeah.
He walks into that kitchen, and he quietly lays out exactly how it felt to wait, day after day, for friends who seemingly didn't care enough to reach out.
The adults in the room, Lupin, Sirius, the Weasleys, they let him speak. They know Dumbledore ordered the silence, but they also recognize the severe psychological damage it caused.
Right.
But the most powerful reaction comes from Ron.
Oh, man. Ron just explodes.
Yeah,
He stands up, his chair crashing backward, and he screams at the adults. He reveals that he fought them for days. He argued constantly with his parents, just trying to send Harry a single letter so he wouldn't feel alone.
Yeah.
Ron says, I spent the whole summer wondering whether you'd think we'd abandoned you. I knew you would.
It completely shatters the wall Harry had built up. Harry realizes the silence wasn't a choice his friends made. It was a restriction placed upon them. The script of silence was forced on them by the adults, and it nearly destroyed their friendship.
It's like they were all trapped in this pressure cooker of silence.
Yes, exactly.
But the deep dive takes us to an even quieter and honestly more devastating moment later that evening in the attic.
I love this scene.
It's so vivid. The light is golden and muted. Buckbeak the Hippogriff is in the corner. And Hermione pulls Ron aside to apologize. Because earlier that day, the Hogwarts letters arrived, and Ron got the prefect badge.
Right.
And Hermione's immediate unfiltered reaction was to assume Harry had gotten it.
She committed another faulty premise. She looked right past Ron, assuming he would always be second best.
So she apologizes. But Ron quietly admits something heartbreaking. He tells her it wasn't really the words that hurt. He says you were just the first one to say it out loud.
Oof. That line is a gut punch, because we really need to dig into why that hurts so much. It isn't just about Ron living in the shadows of his brothers or, his famous best friend.
Right.
It's about the mechanics of insecurity. And insecurity is just a fear you hold about yourself. It only becomes a trauma when the people you trust most in the world inadvertently confirm that your fear is real.
Oh, wow. So when Hermione assumes Harry got the badge, she isn't just making a mistake. She is validating Ron's deepest, darkest insecurity.
Exactly.
Her assumption tells him, yes, your fear is correct. Even your best friends don't expect you to shine.
Precisely. Confirmation of our deepest insecurities by the people we love is infinitely more damaging than the insecurity itself.
That is so true.
True loyalty isn't just fighting dark wizards in epic battles. It's navigating these incredibly fragile moments of vulnerability.
Yeah.
It's having the courage to admit when your instincts hurt someone and allowing them the space to be seen as they truly are, independent of the shadows cast by others.
So, looking back at the incredible journey this source material just took us on, we started with a boy at a dance whose worldview broke so spectacularly he walked face first into a stone pillar.
A literal pillar, yeah.
We watch a brilliant girl dismantle her own cognitive biases, catching a beetle by changing the very premise of her investigation. And ultimately, we witness the profound weight of empathy and apology in the face of a brewing war.
It's a masterful study in perspective, really, and it leaves a lingering question for you to mull over. Look around your own life. What faulty premises are you applying to the people around you? Who are you failing to see clearly simply because you've already decided who they are?
Such a powerful thought to leave on. Thank you so much for joining us on this deep dive. Keep looking into those quiet spaces between the lines. And remember, sometimes the most important part of the story is what happens when the camera pans just slightly to the left. See you next time.